Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to the Sankirtan mission of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and all glories to the members of the Prabhupada Disciples Association that are assembling 3 times a week for these online Zoom classes, which are based on the original unedited books of Srila Prabhupada. And I wanted to let everyone know that this next Thursday will be the Chaitanya Charitamrita class. We're going to be changing the schedule from Wednesday to Thursday. Nilesh Sharma, our godbrother, will be hosting the class for us as we make a transition now to this schedule to facilitate his schedule. So I wanted everyone to let everyone know that we would be doing this. And I also wanted to thank him very much for stepping up and taking part in this. And if anyone else is interested in handling the production part of our program, we do have an instruction sheet that was prepared for transition, and you can we will be happy to send it to you, and you could begin to participate in this important devotional service that we are participating in, along with many other programs that we're planning to develop moving forward in our preaching work. And in this way, we can continue to work towards the protection of Srila Prabhupada's legacy, because this is something that our group is focused on. Someone would say, well, you're speaking about this consistently. Yes, we are, because it is very important for people to understand in their practice of devotional service the Guru Tattva system. It's actually critical. There's nothing more valuable than this information, because it allows us to become truly connected to Srila Prabhupada in the transcendental literature and his instructions that he's given to us. Otherwise, as we've been discussing this week, if there is a change in the understanding of the Guru system, then that will not cure a person who's participating in the process of bhakti yoga. Because bhakti yoga, this process based on Shravanam Kirtanam, is the most important part of your daily routine, along with your service, of course. So I wanted everyone to realize that's why this is being focused on. I've been traveling across Canada and traveling through the different time zones. And it's been a very interesting journey by the grace of Krishna. And I'll be back in Hamilton on Wednesday morning. So as we carry on with the mission, we're going to go now to the diaries of Srila Prabhupada, which form the first part of our program. I'm going to read some of the early days of his work here. And let's see where we are. If you could. We're on January 21st. We just finished reading the letter from Ban Maharaj to Srila Prabhupada, one of his god brothers. And I'm going to ask you, if you get a chance to go back in the programs, to review it and study it, get the idea of the dynamic between the god brothers, Srila Prabhupada and his god brothers. It's very informative in the sense that we also have relationships with other people, god brothers, similar to the relationships that Prabhupada had with his god brothers. And please note that Prabhupada was not involved with his god brothers after some time, because he realized that there was elements in their relationship that were not favorable for him in spreading his mission. So this has been going on even after the departure of Srila Prabhupada. This has been a phenomena that goes on in this world. So we're at February 21st, 1966. Now here Prabhupada is beginning to, Mataji, concentrate on his Lakshmi, monitoring everything that he's spending in the diary, logging it down. And it gets more detailed. Prabhupada was very astute when it came to the management of Lakshmi. So there was a postage for 25 cents. There was sugar for 90 cents. So he spent $1.15. A letter received from C.C. Doctor of Bombay. He has gone back from his promise. This is not good. Better late than never. Mr. Bogart asked me to see him on Monday morning in his office at 866 United Nations Plaza. Larry Bogart is mentioned in more depth in Srila Prabhupada Leelamrita, Volume 2, Planting the Seed. I don't recommend you read that necessarily. Saturday, January 22nd, New York, salt, 15 cents. Bananas, 22 cents. 37 cents, a letter sent to Surya Kumar Joshi of AICC office for help in getting sanctioned. So also a letter sent to Beni Bhushan Dutta, if he can help in this matter. The cleaner sent by Nina came to doctor's apartment and cleaned it. I gave him some cold drink and he was glad. And this was on the footnote. All Indian Congress Committee, the governing council of India's ruling Congress political party. So Prabhupada's dealing with very high level people. Sunday, January 23rd, New York. Today, due to snowfall, the whole day I did not go either to Dr. Mishra's apartment nor outside the studio. I managed my things here in the studio, no expenditure today. So I'm not quite sure what he did, Yashodanandana Prabhu, to eat, because as you know, he had no facility, no kitchen. But you can see he doesn't mention it in his diary, even confidentially. He's not complaining. He doesn't complain about the circumstance. He accepts everything as Krishna's mercy. On Monday, the 24th of January, to see Mr. Bogart morning 9 a.m., saw Mr. Bogart in his office. He advised me to write to Mr. Felix Moreau, who was the proprietor of University Books. for an appointment to see, so I'm writing him and sending him some literature of Srimad Bhagavatam. Bus fare was 30 cents. On Tuesday, January 25th, 1966, and I'm sorry I didn't put in the handwriting, very, very beautiful handwriting of Srila Prabhupada in English. Tuesday, January 25th, New York, received a letter from Mrs. Sally Agarwal, that was his host, in Butler, Pennsylvania. On 603 North Walnut Street, Dover, Ohio, intimating that she is taking my book to her new residence. It appears that she has not received my letter of January 18th, 1966. Decided to purchase one tape recorder, Martel, from the Advertisement Times of the New York. No expenditures today. One set of books taken by Mrs. Malapsky. She promises to pay on Thursday, the 27th of January. Lectures delivered in the studio on the test of spiritual realization. It means no more any artificial demand for the body and mind. People appreciate it. So he's made it out of the apartment and he got to attend at the ashram. Srila Prabhupada had been sponsored by Gopal Agarwal, had stayed with the family in Butler, Pennsylvania, before coming to New York. And here we have Wednesday, January 26th, meeting at the church at 40th West 76th Street at 7 p.m. The following letters dispatched: one to Sally Agarwal in Butler, of course, to Miss Satelli, Bureau of Libraries in Brooklyn, and 3, Dr. Seymour Fersh, Asia Society, on 112 East 64th Street, New York City. And expenditures were butter 44 cents, bus fare 30 cents, 74 cents. There's a side note here. One book sold at the Universalist Church of Divine Paternity. I have no idea what that is. Central Park West at 76th Street, New York. And on Thursday, January 27th, he gave me the address of Sachin Mazumdar, inquired from Camera House about Mr. Eric's friend, Mr. Dick. One set of books, priced $16. $16. Paid by Mrs. Malapsky today. Mr. Cohen met. He gave his address and invited me to see his apartment in the downtown. No expenditures. Harvey Cohen was very interested in spiritual matters and recommended Srila Prabhupada as a teacher and his friends. He was later initiated as Haridas and was helpful in organizing Srila Prabhupada's visit to San Francisco in 1967. We'll read one more insert before we move forward with the class. And it's going to be a response from the JK organization in India. Now, this is a very big company, and Prabhupada had sent him a request to help him build a temple in New York. So the response was written on January 27, 66. My dear Swamiji, I received your letter of the 20th. I'm afraid that I cannot agree with your suggestion that you should buy a small house and then erect something on the top of it. Unfortunately, such a kind of proposal will not suit me. The temple may be a small one, but it should be constructed properly. I quite agree that you cannot spend a lot of money at present, but within the limit of the amount the government may sanction, we should do something according to the architecture of Indian temples. Then only we will be able to create some impression on the American public. This is all that I can write to you in this connection. I'm very grateful to you for taking the trouble of writing to me. And it's signed by the person who sent it to A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami. Now, Prabhupada's making an effort. Remember, he's in a new world of activity, much different than India and his previous experiences. This is all brand new and all he's very excited to expand the preaching work because he feels somehow or other he'll achieve it by the grace of Lord Chaitanya and Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, whose instructions he was focused on without any deviation. So we'll carry on reading this diary, giving all of us insights into his very systematic, organized method of spreading the Sankirtan mission of Lord Chaitanya. We'll move forward now with the chanting of Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. And today's Srimad Bhagavatam class from the Delhi Bhagavatams, by his grace, Yashodanandana Prabhu in California. Hare Krishna.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana. Jamuna Tira Banachari. Jamuna Tira Banachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana. Yamuna Tira Banachari. Yamuna Tira Banachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha ki Jai Amaspat Paramahansa Parivrajagacharya Sattvaresvara Samadhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Bhagavad ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnava ki Jai Ramacharya Sri Haridas Thakur ki Jai Prem se kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhaktamani ki Jai Sri Sri Radha Krishna Mokh Gopinath Sam Khund Radha Khund Giri Govardhan ki Jai Vrindavan Dham ki Jai Navadvip Dham ki Jai Ganga Mai ki Jai, Jamuna Mai ki Jai, Guru Dwarka Dham ki Jai, Swami Bhaktivinoda ki Jai, all glories to their Summit. All glories to their Summit. Thank you very much.
All glories to you, Srila Prabhupada. Glories to you, Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. O my Lord Sri Krishna, the son of Vasudeva, the all-pervading personality of Godhead, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. From Srimad Bhagavatam 1:1:1. Narayanam namaskrityam Narayanam namaskrityam Naram cheva narottamam Naram cheva narottamam Devim saraswatim vyasam Devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam mudirayat. Tato jayam mudirayat. One should utter the means of conquest, Srimad Bhagavatam, after offering respectful obeisances to the personality of Godhead Narayana. 2, to the Narayana Rishi, who is the supermost human being. 3, to the Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning. Then 4, to Srila Vyāsadeva, the author, from Srimad Bhagavatam 1:2-4. Welcome everyone to this reading and discussion on Srimad Bhagavatam. This particular session is being conducted on the basis of the original Srimad Bhagavatam, New Delhi Bhagavatam, first canto, printed in India in 1962, with all synonyms, translations, and purports by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, founder Acharya of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, also known as the Krishna Consciousness Movement. As we do every week, we will be reading a few selected verses from the Srimad Bhagavatam itself, from the first canto, second chapter, where the position of the Srimad Bhagavatam and the benefit of hearing this powerful transcendental literature is described. From Srimad Bhagavatam 1:17. Srinvatam svakataha Krishnaha punyashravana kirtanaha Hridyantasto hyabadrani vidunoti suritsatam. Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, who is also the Paramatma in everyone's heart, and the benefactor of the truthful devotee, does cleanse the desire for material enjoyment in the heart of the devotee who has developed the urge for hearing his, Krishna's messages, which are themselves virtuous when properly heard and chanted. Nashtaprayeshu avabhadrishu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktira bhavati naistiki. By regular attendance in the Bhagavatam class or rendering service unto the pure devotees, all that is inauspicious in the heart of a candidate becomes destroyed almost to nil. And thus, loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, comes into being an irrevocable fact. Tadarajastamo bhava kamalo bhadayaschaye chitayeterana viddam stitam sattve prasidati. As soon as irrevocable loving service is fixed up in one's heart, at that time the effects of the nature's mode of passion and ignorance, such as lust, desire and hankerings, etc., do disappear from one's heart, and he becomes fixed up in a mode of goodness, which makes him completely happy. Evam prasanna manasu bhagavad bhakti yogataha bhagavat tattva vijnanam mukta sangasya jayati. Thus, when one is positively fixed up in the modes of unalloyed goodness, the enlivened-minded man affected by contact of devotional service of the Lord can positively know scientific knowledge of the personality of Godhead in the stage of liberation from all material association. Vidyate hridyaye grantis chidyante sarva samshaya shiyante chasya karmani drishtayevatmanishwari. The knot of one's heart is thus pierced, and all misgivings are cut into pieces. The chain of fruitive actions are terminated along with the seeing of oneself, the dominating factor. Again, welcome everyone to this reading and discussion. Before we proceed ahead, I had somebody recently ask me again the question, why is it that Vishwakarma and yourself call this a reading and discussion as opposed to the standard class? Well, technically it's a class. And the reason we've coined that term is because we do want devotees to be able to express their questions, their concerns, or complaints if they have to, so that the so-called class is not like a preaching down to people, but an interactive session where people can bring up points of concern or questions which they may have, which is why the second portion of the program handled by Vishwakarma Prabhu usually involves various guests, and we ask their comments, their questions, and things like that, because we firmly believe that discussion is very, very important for the future of this movement and individually to progress spiritually. So we will proceed today with our scheduled class or scheduled reading and discussion. We are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 5, text number 28. Itam sharat pravrishika rituharer Vishrin vato minusaram yasho malam samkirtyamanam munibhir mahatmabhir bhakti pravritta atmarajas tamopaha. Itam, thus, sarat, autumn, pravrishika, rainy season, ritu, 2 seasons, harer, of the Lord, Vishrinvato, continuously hearing, me, myself, anusavam, constantly, yashomalam, unadulterated glories, samkirtyamanam, chanted by, munibhir, the great sages, mahatmabhir, great souls, bhakti, devotional service, pravritta, began to flow on, atma, living being, rajas, mode of passion, tamo, mode of ignorance, apaha, vanishing. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Thus, during the 2 seasons of the rainy as well as the autumn, myself got the opportunity of hearing the great soul sages chanting constantly unadulterated glories of the Lord Hari. The flow of my devotional service began, vanishing away coverings of the modes of passion and ignorance. Purport. Transcendental loving service for the Supreme Lord is the natural inclination of every living being. The instinct is dormant in every living being, but due to the association of material nature, the modes of passion and ignorance cover them from time immemorial. If by the grace of the Lord and the great soul devotees of the Lord, a living being becomes fortunate to associate with the unadulterated devotees of the Lord and gets a chance of hearing unadulterated glories of the Lord, certainly the dormant instinct of devotional service become at once woke up, and the flow of devotional service takes place like the flow of waves in a river. As the river flows on till she reaches the destination of the sea, similarly, pure devotional service of devotee begins to flow by the association of pure devotees till such devotional service reaches the association, the ultimate goal, namely transcendental love of God. Such flow of devotional service cannot stop, but on the contrary, it increases more and more without any limitation. The flow of devotional service is so much potent that any onlooker of such flowing of transcendental service also becomes as much liberated from the influence of the modes of passion and ignorance. These two qualities of nature is thus removed, and living being is liberated, being situated in his original position. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Bhakti Siddhanta Shishyayam Bhaktivedanta Namine Prasannaya Prashantaya Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Bhagavad Vandanam Khadyam Guru Vandana Purvakam Kshiram Sarkara Yuktam Kadate Visheshataham Adadana Strinam Dhanter Idam Yachi Punaha Punaham Srimad Rupa Padam Bhoja Dhulisyam Janma Janmani Amsho Bhagavatosmyaham Sadadaso asmi sarvata tat kripa pikshako nityam tat prishta shatakaromisvam Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Brinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. This particular purport is very important because it explains the gradual process of bhakti, the development of devotional service to Lord Krishna. Prabhupada nicely explains the life of Nārada Muni, of how by association with these great souls, it's interpreted in the Sanskrit text is described Munibir Mahatma Bihi, and proper translated the great sage and the great souls, those who are devoted to the service of Krishna, are great souls. Mahatmanas tumam parta devim prakritamasritaha bhajantyanas nyamanaso bhaktir. This is described in the Bhagavad Gita, that those who are devoted Mahatmanas tumam parta devim prakritimas, they are under the shelter of the Devi Prakriti, the spiritual energy. So now we see here that Nārada Muni, he began his service by hearing the glories of Krishna, in the association of the devotees. Prabhupada explains in the purport, such flow of devotional service cannot stop, but on the contrary, it increases more and more without any limitation. The flow of devotional service is so much potent that any onlooker of such flowing of transcendental service also becomes as much liberated from the influence of the modes of passion and ignorance. Now, we do know during the manifested presence of His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada, he recommended that his disciples should go, besides chanting their rounds and doing service in the temple, they should go on Sankirtan to propagate the teachings of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu according to the instruction of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's foremost representative, the current Acharya of the Gaudiya Sampradaya, His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. And the idea is that by chanting, one will benefit himself, but also others who are hearing the chanting will benefit. There's an interesting story in the Prabhupada Conversation book, how one of Prabhupada's servant, Kartikeya Prabhu, when his mother was dying, she asked her son, Kartikeya, that, is your Krishna here? And then she passed away. When Prabhupada heard that story, says, just see, she was thinking of Krishna at the time of death, and she went back to Godhead. Now, it's important to remember that anyone who remembers Krishna at the time of death will go back to Godhead. But because we are conditioned with so many bad habits for millions of lifetimes, so much contamination in the influence of the modes of nature, it is always recommended that one practices the regular sadhana or regulated practice of bhakti to train the mind and the senses to think of Krishna, to engage the mind in the service of Krishna. In the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Nectar of Devotion, Srila Rupa Goswami gives examples of 9 devotees who reach perfection, who were perfect, by the practice of this Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, chanting, hearing, remembering, meditating. All of these 9 devotional practices had examples. So in the Srimad Bhagavatam, we have Maharaj Parikshit hearing the Bhagavatam and Shukadev Goswami reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam. These are given by Srila Rupa Goswami as examples of perfection of the process of Shravanam Kirtanam. Because this process of hearing is very, very important. Now, the Bhagavad Gita recommends that one should hear from a bona fide authority, a bona fide guru or spiritual master, spiritual preceptor. But it has to be done with a submissive attitude, not with a challenging attitude. If one hears submissively from a pure devotee, then one will make substantial progress in devotional service. Now, this is a very important point because there is a certain persons, a class of persons, sahajiyas, who take everything very cheaply. They don't study the shastras, they don't study the scriptures, they have plenty of emotional sentiment, but they have no solid understanding of the systematic science of bhakti. Rupa Goswami, in his Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, has summarized the various steps of the process of bhakti in his famous verse, Ado Shraddha Tato Sadhu Sango. This specific Sanskrit verse describes all the various steps to make progress from the beginning of hearing, having some faith, associating with devotees, accepting the bona fide spiritual master, accepting initiation, declaring anartha nivritti. So many unwanted things for millions of years will gradually get cleared up, or in many cases immediately get cleared up. So this science is a very systematic process. It is not mere sentiment or simply some religious fanaticism. Prabhupada explains so many times in his writings that there's a clear difference between religion and faith. Faith can be changed anytime, from Hindu to Muslim, from Muslim to Christian, from Christian to Jew, from Jew to Buddhist, so many different specific faiths or religious faiths. That is temporary. But the eternal religion of the soul, Sanatan Dharma, is that tendency to render service. Everybody renders service. No one in human society is free from rendering service. So that science of how to understand the relationship between the living being, the living entity, specifically the human being, and the Supreme Lord or God, that is called bhakti. And this is done by hearing the messages of the Vedic literatures. Now, why do we keep emphasizing this? Because this is the natural, gradual process of making progress in the science of devotional service. We've often discussed how in the Srimad Bhagavatam, in the first canto, there is a verse that was discussed by all the great sages, the 60,000 great sages at Naimisharanya, and Sutta Goswami, the speaker, the reciter of the Bhagavatam. It is described, Krishna Swadhamopagate Dharma Jnana Dhibhi Saha Kalo Nashtadrisham Nesha Puranarko Adunoditaha. Prabhupada explains, this is from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 3, text number 43. Canto 1, Chapter 3, text number 43. This Bhagavat Purana is as brilliant as the sun, and it has arisen just after the departure of Lord Krishna to his own abode, accompanied by religion, knowledge, etc. Persons who have lost their vision due to the dense darkness of ignorance in the age of Kali shall get light from this Purana. Prabhupada explains in one of his purports, Lord Sri Krishna as his eternal Dhamma, or abode, where he eternally enjoys himself with his eternal associates and paraphernalia. And his eternal abode is a manifestation of his internal energy, whereas the material world is a manifestation of his external energy. When he descends on the material world, he displays himself with all paraphernalia in his internal potency, which is called Atma Maya. In the Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says that he descends by his own potency, Atma Maya. His form, name, fame, paraphernalia, abode, etc., are not, therefore, creations of matter. He descends to reclaim the fallen souls and to reestablish codes of religion which are directly enacted by him. Except for God, no one can establish the principles of religion. Either he or a suitable person empowered by him, and I'm going to repeat this, either he or a suitable person empowered by him can dictate the codes of religion. Real religion means to know God, our relation with him, and our duties in relation with him, and to know ultimately our destination after leaving this material body. The conditioned souls who are entrapped by the material energy hardly know all these principles of life. Most of them are like animals engaged in eating, sleeping, fearing, hold on, I lost this. Fearing and mating. They are mostly engaged in sense enjoyment under the pretension of religiosity, knowledge, or salvation. They are still more blind in the present age of quarrel or Kali Yuga. In the Kali Yuga, the population is just a royal addition of the animals. They have nothing to do with spiritual knowledge or godly religious life. They are so blind that they cannot see anything beyond the needs of the body. They have no information of the spirit soul beyond the jurisdiction of the subtle mind, intelligence, or ego. But they are very much proud of their advancement in knowledge, science, and material prosperity. So the point is that to understand spiritual life, one has to take shelter of the teachings of the great acharyas. And the foremost acharya in the current age, the foremost representative and teacher of Krishna consciousness, is His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Now, some will object and say, well, he's not manifested living right now. Well, he's living in sound. He's living in his Vani incarnation. He's still present in his picture. He's still present in his deity. And he's present in his bona fide disciples who repeatedly and exclusively emphasize him, emphasize surrender and complete allegiance to him and his unadulterated teachings. Now, why do we keep using that term? This is very simple. In the history of the Vaishnava Sampradayas, I'm speaking to the Madhva Sampradaya, the Sri Vaishnava Sampradaya, the Ramanuja Sampradaya, the Nimbarka Sampradaya, and the Vallabha Sampradaya. There's no record anywhere of any disciple ever changing one syllable of any of their acharyas' writings. They don't do that because it's considered that the acharyas' writings are sacred. They're dictated by the personality of Godhead Krishna. All of you, we have discussed as part of this program a conversation which Srila Prabhupada had in Australia with a devotee named Amoga, where Amoga was presenting to Srila Prabhupada how one lawyer who was doing service for the society had gotten Srila Prabhupada's books, but he had not read the books. He had kept the books on his bookshelf, and the lawyer had made that he greatly appreciated these books, how they look so beautiful. And Prabhupada commented and says, that is very nice. He's also making advancement. And then what happened is Prabhupada said, these books are representative of God. So it's very important to understand when Prabhupada says these books, he's referred to as unchanged, non-edited, non-adulterated, non-interpolated books, not the fanciful creation or nonsense interpretation or some self-appointed editors who have taken upon themselves to make thousands of changes to Prabhupada's books. That is not Prabhupada's original books. Just like, I don't know if some of you have ever had cooked sweet rice and you make a mistake and instead of putting sugar, you put salt in it. Well, the sweet rice may look normal. It's semi-liquid. It's got the color of sweet rice. It's got the appearance of sweet rice. But when you taste it, it's going to be very different. We had experience of this in 1970 in Berkeley, California. I was the temple president there for a while, and along with Guru Kripa, and at that time, one devotee was coming, Mrigendra, who is now in Los Angeles. So we were cooking very nice feast, and it became very famous, and so many people were coming for the feast. We would cook like 7, 8 different kinds of halva, 5 different kinds of sweet rice. I mean, it was an elaborate feast with all kinds of different rice and vegetables, puris, samosas, kachoris, and people were coming for the prasadam. So what happened one Sunday, a devotee made a mistake. Because if you look at a salt or sugar, unless there's a label on it, it looks the same. It's granular, it's white, but there's a big difference when you taste it. So the devotee made the mistake of putting salt in the sweet rice. So everybody had the feast. They took to their full satisfaction. And then the sweet part came. They presented the halva the sweet balls, and the sweet rice. So the first person who tasted the sweet rice, he said, oh, wait a minute, something is wrong with this sweet rice. It tastes salty. What happened is the cook had made a mistake. He changed the recipe. Instead of putting sugar in the sweet rice, he put salt. So this is like changing the books. It may look the same, it may appear the same, but factually it's not the same. He has seen the truth and they have seen the truth is very different. Jagannath Das Babaji initiated Bhaktivinoda Thakur is very different than the current version of the editors, of the fanciful editors, because they did not like how it sounded. People cannot change Prabhupada books according to their own whims, just like in these Vaishnava Sampradayas, they don't change the writings. What they will do, they will write some supplementary notes called tika, or some supplementary explanations, or write a new purport based on the original purport. For example, in our Sampradaya, Madhvacharya wrote a commentary on the Vedanta Sutra. Then when other big acharya after him, the Jayatirtha, he wrote a commentary on the original commentary. Another acharya after Jayatirtha named Vyāsadeva, he wrote a commentary considering Jayatirtha's commentary. I'm referring Jayatirtha in the Madhva Sampradaya, not the ISKCON Jayatirtha. And Madhva's Brahmasutra Bhashya in this way, but they don't change the original commentary. That is sacred. No one can touch that. In our movement, they have no respect for Prabhupada's commentary. But it's all done under the plea of grammatical embellishment and editorial correctness. I believe that there's one or two lawyers on this program. They could be asked, if you don't like the law the way it's written, can you change it? And go to court and say, I've got my own changed, revised law here? It will not be accepted. Only the legislature can enact the law. As defective as it may be sometimes, there's a principle in law sometimes that they call unintended consequences. They'll pass a law and then they realize, there's a problem. Just like in California, they passed a law some time back, a couple of years ago. No, that plastic bag should be allowed. They were trying to encourage people not to throw the plastic bag away, but to reuse it. But people kept using the plastic bag and throwing it away. Millions of tons of plastic bags every year. That's called the law of unintended consequences. And this is the problem with changing the book. You cannot change Prabhupada's words because that has been dictated by Krishna himself. Somebody may say, who do you think you are to say something like that? It's not that I say. It's not that Vishwakarma is saying. It's Prabhupada that is saying. Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Antilila, chapter 5, text 71. It's right there. When the spiritual master speaks, it's to be understood that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is speaking through him. All of you have seen that picture of Prabhupada, and behind Prabhupada is a picture of Krishna, and there's this glowing light that goes from Lord Krishna right to Srila Prabhupada. This is what these original books are like, is the dictation from Krishna and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu directly to Srila Prabhupada. When these books are changed to reflect they have seen the truth or some nonsense other changes, no. That is no longer Prabhupada's books. It's a misinterpretation that is not acceptable. Do not be victimized by the propaganda of the deviants and the so-called pseudo-scholars. Thank you very much. To whom it may concern. Hare Krishna.
Well, in all fairness, it concerns us all, but it's a matter of how people listen or hear the truth. And some people just can't, Prabhu. That's their unfortunate situation for whatever reason. And the instructions of our spiritual master are so valuable because these instructions are not ordinary instructions, but they come as messages from the spiritual world through Srila Prabhupada, how to get out of this repeated birth and death. And this is called the internal potency, as all of you know, of the Lord. So the internal potency is present in the instructions of Srila Prabhupada, non-different. There's the external energy, there's the marginal energy, and there's the internal potency of the Lord. When we follow the instructions of the spiritual master, we're put into the internal potency, the transcendental realm of devotional service. Very valuable. And you referred to a lecture in Australia. Yes, there was a lecture in Australia, an initiation lecture, and the devotees asked him, Prabhupada, are we eternally related to you? Because some people think, oh, I get initiation, then I'll go back to Godhead, just by initiation. But the process of initiation, the meaning of it is to start, to initiate your devotional service. And the devotees asked Prabhupada, are we eternally related to you? If people were thinking, oh, I've got the initiation, I'm automatically liberated out of the material world. The answer is no. Prabhupada said this. He said, only if you're following the process are you related to me. That's the eternal relationship with the Supreme Lord, is through the practice of devotional service according to Srila Prabhupada's instructions. If you don't chant your rounds, how are you connected? Prabhupada gave order. If you don't follow the 4 regulated principles, how are you connected? Prabhupada gave the order. If you don't follow all of these processes that he has graciously blessed us with, this medicine to get out of the material consciousness that we're in, then how are we connected? We're not. Yet some people think simply by initiation, I'm connected, even though they don't chant. It's unfortunate, Yashodanandana Prabhu, that even some of these so-called Diksha gurus think they don't have to chant their rounds. That's what they think. Oh, I don't have to chant my rounds. I'm so advanced. That's not necessary anymore. And I'm not going to name them. Although I've seen videos on YouTube and on Facebook of certain people chanting, and they're doing dive bomber japa. Dive bomber japa. This is dive bomber japa. I couldn't believe it. There's people right on camera, so-called chanting their rounds and falling asleep right in front of, and they're Diksha gurus. It's absurd. It's absolutely absurd. Can people connect the dots? Well, these people that are in that group, they can't. They think, oh, well, gee, it's some kind of transcendental mellow or rasa that these people are having. So this science of devotional service is imperishable. It is a process that you never, by performing it, even at any level, you never lose the credit. You know, sometimes at the ashram where I stay, everybody greets me every morning with Hare Krishna. And every time I hear that from them, because they're not very serious, I think to myself, okay, there's one coin in the devotional bank account there, bump, for that person. And eventually there'll be more coins. Prabhupada explained like that. Eventually you'll build up your bank balance, your credits in Krishna consciousness, but you must start. And that's the responsibility of the devotees, all of us, to start people on the path. You may not get them to sit down and read books. That's very difficult for a lot of people, I guess, these days, even though it's such a great thing to do, is to study the transcendental literature. But at least if they start the process, then they'll be blessed by Krishna and Lord Chaitanya, and you'll be blessed for starting them on the path. This is Vartma Pradarshaka Guru. You introduce the process of devotional service, who a bona fide spiritual master is. Now, when we used to preach in the 70s, we always thought, oh, let me help this person take up devotional service under the direction of our spiritual master. That's the way we preached, Yashodanandana Prabhu. We never thought for a moment, Panchagoda, oh, let me get them to take up devotional service and become my disciple. Ridiculous. But this was the mentality back then. But it's changed. It's become different. And then people are now soliciting people, new people, to become disciples of their guru. And this is going on in the name of our sampradaya. We have these festivals that they put on in America. They travel around. And I explain to people that are involved in them, please, if you would reconsider this, because really the goal of these festivals is not to promote Prabhupada or Prabhupada's books. In one particular case, the one that was managing this event, who's a very great devotee, by the way, who mentioned to me the other day that he wants to purchase 200 sets of the Delhi Bhagavatams from us once they're printed, 200 sets. So that, and I got my set of reprinted versions from him actually some years ago. And they were so successful that he's now ordered 200 sets from us. But check this out, Prabhus. He was coming to Canada to put on the events, and he was ordered by the GBC guru there, who found out he was selling original books. Don't you dare bring any of those books across the border into my country. That's what he said. My country. Who are you to say that to anybody? That don't bring Prabhupada's original books and sell them at his Rathayatra festival, who Madhuha is putting on. And there was a big controversy. They all got upset with him, and it forced him to stop selling. And when I bought my books, Krishna Katha, guess where I went? I had to sneak over, Yashoda, to the truck. He had them hidden in his truck. And then he had to take them out and go, hey, here they are here. I can't show you them because I don't want anybody to see, because I'll be disciplined for doing this. I was ordered not to sell the original books at this festival. Interesting. I didn't understand it. And actually at the time I was quite confused. I think, is this actually possible? And now it's subsequently, as time has gone on, it's very apparent that these temples do not sell Prabhupada's books. do not promote them. In fact, if you go to them, you'll see, Pierangelo, you'll see there's all these other books. And I've been showing these books. I showed this one here, this one from Ronald. They have classes on these books, Yashoda. Look at this thing. They have classes on these books. This is like kindergarten books on spiritual life. Are people going to get benefit from this? Well, if you're an adult, you don't want to go to kindergarten, do you? I don't think so. This is a bunch of, guess what? Watch how I deal with this. Goodbye. We are not interested in this petty stuff that's going on with these inexperienced, immature, self-motivated individuals. This is an imperishable science of Krishna consciousness. And just to wind up, I was reading the Bhagavad Gita on the road with my son. It's quite enlivening. And he was driving, I was just reading. He had comments. But it was interesting that today, how the devotional service is imperishable, and any amount of service that you perform, you get blessed by it. And so we should always remember, the more service that we do, the more blessings we'll receive from Prabhupada and Krishna. And I want to read from the chapter 12, text 11, page 608 of the Bhagavad Gita, because I think all of us have this experience in this purport that Prabhupada knew his new disciples would be experiencing. And we'll read for the verse for brevity of time. If, however, you're unable to work in this consciousness, Krishna says, then try to act giving up all results of your work and try to be self-situated. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. It may be that one is unable to even sympathize with the activities of Krishna consciousness because of social, familial, or religious considerations, or because of some other impediments. If one attaches himself directly to the activities of Krishna consciousness, there may be objection from family members or so many other difficulties. Yes, that happened when my father, who passed away many, many years ago, my adopted father, he almost had a heart attack right on the spot when he saw me in my pink robes with a shaved head. It was like, whoa, what happened to you? So objection may be there from your family. Remember that. And Prabhupada's highlighting it here in this purport. For those who have such a problem, it is advised that he sacrifice the accumulated result of his activities to some good cause. Such procedures are described in the Vedic rules. There are so many descriptions of sacrifices and special functions of the Pumundi, or special work in which the result of one's previous action may be applied. Thus, one may gradually become elevated to the state of knowledge. It is also found that one who is not even interested in the activities of Krishna consciousness gives charity to some hospital or some other social institution. He gives up the hard-earned results of his activities. That is also recommended here because by the practice of giving up the fruits of one's activities, one is sure to purify his mind gradually, and in the purified stage of mind, one becomes able to understand Krishna. So it's progressive. Pious activity has some benefit, but how much? Prabhupada explains here. Of course, Krishna consciousness is not dependent on any other experience because Krishna consciousness itself can purify one's mind. But if there are impediments to Krishna consciousness, one may try to give up the result of his action. If there are impediments. In that respect, social service, community service, national service, sacrifice for one's country, etc., may be accepted, so that someday one may come to the stage of pure devotional service to the Supreme Lord. In the Bhagavad Gita, we find it is stated, Yata Pravatir Bhutanam. If one decides to sacrifice for the purpose, for the supreme cause, even if he does not understand that the supreme cause is Krishna, he will gradually come to understand that Krishna is the supreme cause by the sacrificial method. So I wanted to just conclude by saying this, Yashodanandana Prabhu, that devotional service is a great opportunity. This is not something that we should frivolously take up and think, oh, well, it could be this or that, like whimsical people. This is a great opportunity, including the attending of these classes, because these classes stress Prabhupada as Diksha, Siksha Guru, not like the current people that say that Prabhupada is Siksha Guru and I am Diksha Guru. Yashodanandana Prabhu, please.
Very important points you've raised here. I want to read from a conversation Prabhupada had in Perth, Australia on May 9th, 1975. It's a morning walk conversation in Perth, Australia on May 9th, 1975. Amoga. Srila Prabhupada, when people in the street hear Krishna's name, the chanting, or they get some literature, does that mean they will not take birth as an animal? Prabhupada, no, they'll get birth in a good family. Suchinam Srimatam Gehe, Bhagavad Gita 641. If they simply appreciate it is very nice, then in the next life, human life is guaranteed. In a very nice family, simply if he appreciates, yes, it is very nice, that's all, then he'll get another chance. Amoga. Many people think the pictures are very nice. Prabhupada, anything they say nice, that means it is guaranteed next life. Or even in this life, it will definitely help. As soon as he reads some pages, then it is guaranteed. Those who are inquiring, that means they're liking. Their life is guaranteed. Amoga. One man who joined us about Ratha Yatra time last year was a solicitor. That's under the British system. That's a lawyer. He used to buy our books, but he never read them. But he would keep them on his bookshelf, and he used to always think, those are such beautiful books. He used to think like that. Prabhupada, this is appreciation. Amoga, he never got time to read it. Prabhupada, it doesn't matter. If he keeps the books with appreciation, that makes his life insured. He immediately becomes in touch with God. Who keeps the book with reverence and love, immediately he becomes in touch with God, because these books are representative of God. So this is a very important point, because this is why these books should not be touched. They should not be touched. And if somebody thinks in their collective wisdom that there's some technical mistakes or some editorial mistakes, well, you can produce what's called a critical edition, where you can have some proper footnotes. That is a scholarly way of basically analyzing text, but you should not change the original text or original translation of the verse. That's all for now. I think we have some notables on call here, like Paranjan and Nilesh Sharma, so let us hear from them. Cannot hear your sound.
Sorry, I apologize. I did shut my sound off while not speaking. Panchagoda Prabhu in Ukraine. I was wondering if maybe you could share some of your insights on the class and your particular situation in the Ukraine in terms of your desire, very strong desire, to present Srila Prabhupada's original books in Russian and Ukrainian. Panchagoda, is your microphone working?
What is, as I can speak a few minutes, we have situation that there are so many printed and changed books in our temples, and all these books of Radhanath Swami, they are presented as similar books to Srila Prabhupada's. And when you start arguing with them, showing the 1972 Bhagavad Gita, that the translation is so different into Russian language, Ukrainian language, senior devotees, they just stand up and say, oh, who are you to say this stuff? You're like few years with us, and we are seniors, and we have seniors like Jadvaita Swami. So they give us permission to work with these books, to make this movement spread out. So if you want, you just shut up and just be present here. So original Krishna consciousness is what is written here. So my opinion, what I shared with the respected senior devotees like you, that we have to work out and to change the situation, because I was very excited to know that official BBT members, they don't want to print the original conversations, the lectures of Srila Prabhupada, because this is such an important knowledge. Same importance that the original books of Prabhupada. And they said, oh, we are planning to print them in few years. They have such crazy amount of money. They have all these connections, but I think they withhold all this because they just don't want the original knowledge of Srila Prabhupada to be spread. So I'm very excited to work with you, and as soon as here some war is happening, so we have some electricity problems, and we don't know in 1 or 2 months what will be here in Ukraine. But I think this knowledge have to be spread out here, and after having all this printed, we can translate this into Russian and Ukrainian language. So these are a few thoughts that I wanted to share. Thank you very much.
Well, Prabhus, I hope you're inspired to hear someone like Panchagoda, who is in a war country, a country at war, and there is so much difficulty for him, not only with the karmis and the demons, but also with the people that claim to be devotees of this Sankirtan mission, who are following these so-called fake gurus and totally being misled and opposing him. So this is going on. We had the same situation, Yashodanandana Prabhu and Panchagoda in Sacramento, where one of our members went there and he was physically assaulted a few months back because he was stating the same principles of no change books, no fake initiation process to people there. And one person, a Prabhupada, an actual initiated disciple of Srila Prabhupada, who I know, attacked him and tried to beat his brains in. Unfortunately, nothing transpired after that or happened seriously, and he escaped. But this type of opposition is going on. That's okay. We've got to realize, Prabhus, the material society that we live in, everybody is in conflict. It's an all-pervasive disease. And we're seeing it even in the different groups that have emerged, so-called after Prabhupada's demise. A lot of them are on their own journeys too. So this is a reality that we have to accept and just stay steady in the process of devotional service that we all have. And we have lots of things that we will be doing to continue. And we want, Prabhus, I want you to know, we are going to help this Prabhu in the Ukraine. So if you're interested in donating money to our GoFundMe campaign, you can do that. We're not organized for it specifically right now, but in due course of time, we will be raising money, not only for the Ukraine, also for Italy, with Vijaya Pandit there for his program of producing Prabhupada's books, for France, for Bhakti Jad, as Yashodanandana Prabhu knows, who's already moving ahead doing this work of presenting the original French Bhagavad Gita for distribution there. He has a group of 5 men that are doing it. There's the devotees in Mexico, Yashodanandana Prabhu, with Krishna Kishore. They're in Spanish. They're also working ambitiously to present the original books, as you've so nicely spoken about, and of course in English. So all this activity is going on. We're working towards it. We've got lots of great programs. Nilesh Shama, maybe you could share a few thoughts here. We're moving to the end of the program.
Hare Krishna. It's so nice to hear from Panchod Prabhu. And,
The audio is not
it's very
coming through.
striking when you. Sorry, can you hear me?
Audio connection is not
Can you hear me?
We are, but it's breaking up. Go ahead, keep trying. Let's see.
Let me see. Yeah. So I just wanted to read to Panchagauda. So nice to hear such a reaction. Prabhuji, can you hear me?
Yes, try to stabilize your vocal, please. Thank you.
Yes. Okay. So this is classic, where you have somebody who is in the Krishna conscious movement for decades, for years and years, who do not want to debate, who do not want to talk about this main crux issue, where we just read in the Bhagavad Gita that Krishna is non-different from that book which Prabhupada has written. And Prabhupada himself has told us that these are dictated to him. These books have been dictated to him. And despite of that, there are people who are changing these books. Now, imagine who is the senior devotee now in Ukraine. Is this Panchagauda Prabhu who has been with the movement for a few years, or the persons who have been in decades who do not want to see this real truth and do not want to do that? Why? Because they are after position. Imagine is that when we read in the Bhagavad Gita that where Krishna says that, where Arjuna says that the demigods are bowing down to Krishna out of fear for protection, when they see when he sees the universal form, these are the people who are after positions. Indra is after his position. That is why he sent Menaka to Vishwamitra. At all stages, these are the people who are after positions, and so are these people in ISKCON who are after their positions as whatever they are, fake gurus, temple presidents, whatever it may be. Because if they start preaching what Panchagauda Prabhu is saying is that we need to print out original books, we don't need to change any books, then they will lose those positions. So how different are they from the political? In Tallahassee, the capital of Florida, how different are they? We are going to enter into politics right now where we're going to choose the next president, but everybody is after their positions. Everybody does not care what is the goodness of the whole thing. They only after their positions and their money making stuff. And that is the reason why we need to delineate from, distinguish it from these two parts, because remember what is going to be the end journey of all this. Are you going to succumb to it, or are you going to fight it? And remember the realization, you have been blessed with this realization to understand that Srila Prabhupada is the only Shiksha, the empowered one who can give us the direction and take us back home, back to Godhead. Who else can it do it? And you can distribute anybody's books, you can distribute anything, and be a part of this position process where you will be given a certain title, and this title is what you are after. This title is what you are aiming at, and to maintain it or to get to a higher title, and now you're just succumbing to Maya. So evaluate yourself, evaluate your position, continue with this struggle, continue with this position, and you will see the difference not only in yourself but in everything which you do. Jai Srila Prabhupada, Panchagauda Prabhu, and we are all here to help you out. But I would love to know what Yashodanandan Prabhu has to say to this. Hare Krishna.
You're raising some very important points. You're raising some very important, essential points, because ultimately, once people understand that the teachings have been changed and adulterated, they have to do something about it. It's one thing to pretend for a class of people to claim, well, we're following Prabhupada, we're following the teachings, we're following the books. Well, the real test is when it's brought to their attention that there's been changes in the practices, in the ways and means of preaching Krishna consciousness, in the kirtans and the books. If they don't do anything about it, then there is some nonsense motivation. As you said, they're afraid of their position. Another point, they want to make some money. It's a money-making motive. Otherwise, why don't they stop this nonsense? They should stop this nonsense, adulteration and changes. That will not help anybody. Very important point you have raised. Thank you so much for that. But maybe go ahead.
No, that's okay. We're at the end of the program. We're at 9:32 or whatever time you are. Yes, Panchagoda, you wanted to mention, please. We'd like to hear again.
Yes, Bruce, I just want to raise one point because it's very important. Some devotees, beginners, and who are for 20 years here in Ukraine, they believe all these cheaters, and they eat prasadam offered to them. They are not someone who they present of, and they when you taste that prasadam 1 or 2 weeks, your consciousness is so spoiled, is so bewildered, and they say that we are bona fide representatives of Srila Prabhupada and Krishna. And when you say to some devotees from the temple that listen, all is changed, Srila Prabhupada was spoiled, so many documents that are proving this, that he was poisoned. Yes, and they, oh, you're from Ritviks, you're just some offender, and just go away from here. They just want to be cheated. They want to live in this craziness. So we decided our positions. We are staying away from the temple, and we're trying just to print these books. We already done some wonderful Russian devotees. They printed, they made the good translation of 1972 Bhagavad Gita. And also they made translations of small books of Prabhupada, like 4 books. So we are printing like very small amounts of them, but we're distributing them. And we are kind of different organization. And this mafia, they don't like us. They say like, oh, this is different organization. Don't have any communication with them. But yeah, I'm just a beginner there. I have some few of senior brothers, and they feel this very strong protection of Srila Prabhupada and Krishna. When some crazy situations happened, when they said that you will be killed if you will continue to distribute these books, but nothing happened, and then that person died. They made even some black magic tricks. So many things happening here, and it's very nice to be now the part of genuine representatives of Srila Prabhupada. So thank you very much for encouragement. Hare Krishna.
Well, extremely inspiring for all of us to hear you speak in the real world of preaching. You know, some of us, we don't have the opportunity that you do have to serve Prabhupada in a very dangerous environment, everyone. And at the same time, you're acting without fear. We should not be afraid. I think all of you know that we are not afraid of opposition. We are not. Because why? Krishna will protect us. You know, we had a situation in Toronto. I'm sorry for extending the class.
Good.
We had some people, actually godbrothers of mine. I had recommended them for initiation. They planted handguns in the building. They were oiled, so there was no fingerprints. And they also drilled out the serial numbers. And then they called the police on us. Now, I was the only one there that could deal with it. When the police came, they put me up against the wall with machine guns. Boom! I said, kill me if you want. Get off the altar. I remember distinctly that. Get off those altars with your boots. They had the police raid the building, desecrated everything. One of my favorite devotees of all time was put in jail, Murli Krishna. I told them, get out. Get out. Oh, I was so disturbed by them. But we were not afraid of them because Krishna is with us. Eventually, the people, look what happened. We lost hundreds of thousands of dollars in our fundraising program because of a few Indian devotees that attacked us.
Wow.
Innocent people. Yes. And then Murli was let out of jail. The newspapers destroyed us for as long as they could. They wrote articles, guns in the temple. You can look it up. It's in the media, still recorded. And then guess what happened, Nilesh? Two of the people, they carried on fighting with us, trying to destroy our name, steal the temple from Prabhupada. And then two of the people that were key people in launching the program against us, two of them, D.D. Topper and a guy, Lolly Vidge, were both murdered 10 years later by handguns. Murdered. And the police came to my house in Hamilton. I left the movement. They created such a hellish environment for everyone between the Kirtanandas and all the rest of the madness that went on. It was just horrible. Murli left the temple and went back to Buffalo. Yashoda knows Murli Krishna, such an amazing devotee and follower of Jayananda. And so this went on, but do not think that karma will not affect people that blaspheme the devotees of the Lord, that are dedicated to presenting the truth of the matter to others. Do not think that. We have many examples. Yes, Yashoda, please.
I'd like to hear what Dharma Bhavana has to say, because he always has some insightful comments and realizations.
Okay, you can sit down.
Oh, his good wife is there too, the one who did the wonderful cooking. She's the one who did that wonderful cooking on Facebook, and it had all these beautiful preparations. Go ahead, Dharma Prabhu. Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Hare Krishna. I have a question. I've been talking to one of these devotee and preaching, and she went to India and she was telling me, well, I went to ISKCON temple, I stayed there, and then I went to Bangalore group there. But they're doing all same thing, they're practicing same thing. I don't see any difference. And I said, no, there is difference. Because you are not inside, might be all the temple worship is going very well, but there is a lot of abuse is happening in ISKCON. They're just making money out of people, making it stupid. So then yesterday, they have a temple here in Frisco. They're building big temple, Giriraj and Rananath's temple. And they had a picture of Prabhupada very small down, and Rananath's picture was very big on top. And it came in the Facebook, it says Gita Mandir, and I'm thinking, who's this Prabhupada's picture is, why is so small, is under Rananath? That don't look right. So I went, and because when we were traveling, a lot of people were saying, oh, there is a big temple is built by Kalachandis in Frisco. So we did not know. And then I saw the picture, then I said, wow. Then my friend, yesterday she went, they were collecting donation to build the temple. And our group people going there to this group where they're collecting donation and they have Janmashtami program. The thing, our group is divided because they go to ISKCON temples, they go and support there, and then they go to these places. And when I having Kirtan program, I expect my group people to come to my house and do Kirtan with me, but they don't have time. Oh, 1.5 hours, that's a long ways. But we go and do the program. So I don't even know. They're calling Prabhupada Nuga. They're going and supporting ISKCON gurus. And then I thought, if Rananath and Giriraj Maharaj has so much money, why are not they giving the money? They are the one who's affiliated with the temple. Why you guys are going there? So what do you think about this? This don't look right.
Okay, I'm going to ask Yashoda to speak. I just want to make a comment. These testimonies that we're hearing, Prabhus, from everyone, are proof of the matter of what we're saying. This is proof. Yashoda Nandana, Prabhu, please.
Yes, thank you, Mataji. I greatly appreciate the points that you're raising. The fact of the matter is, there's a lot of people that are confused and victimized by various propaganda. Just like you raised the point, well, people say there's no difference between the regular ISKCON and ISKCON Bangalore. Well, there is a big difference. And the big difference is that one group, the ISKCON Bangalore Temple, despite whatever faults they may have, they exclusively worship Prabhupada and accept Prabhupada's instruction as the Diksha Guru, as Prabhupada instructed it in 1977. The other group, the other party does not. I call it the anti-Prabhupada party, the APP. As far as some so-called Prabhupadanugas, this has become very common everywhere, of people claiming, oh, I'm a Prabhupadanuga, I'm a Ritvik, I'm this and that. We have to see by their behavior. Because anybody can claim anything. Anybody can claim anything. The real test is when it comes to support the genuine, bona fide, correct thing, are they willing to support that? No. Because people are not educated. They don't understand the history. They don't understand what happened. They don't even understand many of the issues. They're very sentimental. So they have to be re-educated. Their brains have to be cleaned out of all the misconception and the nonsense propaganda that they've been victimized. But I thank you very much for your effort and your wonderful cooking that you've displayed on Facebook. That looked beautiful. And also the wonderful programs that you and your good husband, Dharma Bhavana, are doing. But my point to you is, don't stop. Keep preaching. Keep presenting Prabhupada. Keep presenting the original books. And if people are a little intelligent and sincere, they'll understand. And if people are misled, if they want to be misled, if they want to be naive or gullible, that is their choice. But it is not everybody's choice. Some people will catch on. I can guarantee you that Nilesh Sharma knows very well what I'm talking about. He knows because he's preaching, and he knows by repeated preaching, presenting the truth, gradually everything will clear up. There's a very famous statement attributed to Shakespeare. He said, "Oh, what a tangled web we weave once we choose to deceive." Now, there's a lot of people presenting themselves, claiming for Prabhupada, so-called Prabhupadanugas. We have to test. The real test, are they willing to follow Prabhupada the way that Prabhupada wanted to be followed? Are they willing to accept Prabhupada's original books? Are they willing to accept Prabhupada teachings the way that Prabhupada presented them? Not all the concoctions that we're seeing. And all these private bank accounts and private properties, eventually that will all be exposed to. But thank you so much for your valuable contribution, your service, and don't stop preaching. Just keep preaching again and again. Hare Krishna.
Yeah. Thank you. Because I was
You're-
telling this Mataji, I said, I've been and I know what the abuse is. You are not in the movement, so you don't understand. They just abuse people, make money for themselves.
Yes. Vishwakarma, maybe you'd like to comment.
I just wanted to say we're going to end up the program, but thank you, everyone. It was a very insightful reading and discussion today. Very insightful. And not one person speaking, but many people giving testimony that the facts of the matter in terms of deviation are real. And there is a real situation that we're all dealing with. And we have a wonderful agenda that we're developing at the Prabhupada Disciples Association for the dealing of these matters, and they will unfold in due course. So thank you very much. It is already 9:46, our time here in Calgary, and we'll move forward with the end of the program. We'll be back again on Thursday evening. Nilesh, Thursday evening. We'll be
Yes.
we'll be and
5
Nilesh will
o'clock,
be
8 o'clock p.m. your time?
yes. And he
Okay,
will be
very
the
good.
production manager. We will send out the invitations to you with the correction. There may be a bit of a stumble, but that's okay. We'll keep going, and everyone will gradually get the idea that we're making a transition and planning to improve the show as we continue to move forward with this devotional activity that we're involved in. Glories to Srila Prabhupada. Nilesh, did you have something to say?
Yes. You know, this is interesting when we hear all this, what is going on in the different parts of the world.
Yeah.
We are being given a very unique position again. I remember the time when Prabhupada was spreading the movement all over the world, where he was sending all his disciples to go different places to spread this movement.
Yeah.
And that is how ISKCON became such a big international movement. Now, the same movement is plagued where you will see slowly and steadily Prabhupada being phased away. You're not only going to see Prabhupada's image shrinking, but it'll be soon a point where they'll be phased away. And we, who are the real Prabhupada-anugas, will have to reinitiate the same movement as what Prabhupada did during Prabhupada's presence. But now during Prabhupada's Vani, with using Prabhupada's Vani, we will respread the same movement internationally. So hang on, everybody, hang on in Dallas, hang on in Ukraine, and it'll happen. But purity will be our force. Hare Krishna.
Definitely.
Thank you.
Definitely.
Thank you. Very, very, very inspiring from all of you, irrespective of how things are unfolding. We know that Prabhupada and Krishna are with us, Krishna Kata, with no fear. We march forward. All glories to the Sankirtan movement. Let's have the chanting of Hare Krishna with Prabhupada from New York playing the bongo, and then we'll have the ending parts of our program, which so many people are appreciating. And thank you all for joining us today at the Prabhupada Disciples Association Hare Krishna Society.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Vanchakalpa tarubhyascha kripa sindubhya evacha patitanam pavanibhyo Vaishnavibhyo namo namaha. I offer my respectful obeisances. We all offer our respectful obeisances unto all the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord who can fulfill the desires of everyone, just like desire trees who are full of compassion for the fallen souls. Thanks everybody for participating. Vishwakarma Prabhu for hosting the program. Venkat Bhatta Prabhu, our Brahmana representative in Bangalore, India, for managing this program. We're very appreciative of all your efforts. And Krishna Katha for always displaying the wonderful Srimad Bhagavatam, and everybody else involved. All our good friends in Italy, Ruchi Samataji in Montreal, Michael Dillon in Yuba City, California, Bhakta Gabriel in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and Vijay Pandit Prabhu in Italy. Thank you so much for participating. We hope to see you all on Thursday at 5:00 p.m., corresponding to 8 p.m., Toronto, Canada time, Florida time, and we welcome everybody's participation. Thank you very much. We will see you all soon. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.